Travis's newest strategy for dealing with conflict was highly experimental. His first couple ideas were also highly experimental, but this one was very highly experimental. He wasn't going to dick around with the idea of bettering himself as a person overnight. No. That would be his long-term background project. For now, he was going to try winning conflicts by bombarding the other person into submission with weirdness. Nothing too weird or threatening, of course. He didn't want to get arrested, but just enough to wig them out. As they say, if you can't command respect, fear is a pretty good substitute. And the root of all fear is misunderstanding. Travis needed stuff, so he went to the store that sold everything. The front doors of the store opened up into the produce section. Travis saw a display of apples, and although he had no frame of reference for whether they were reasonably priced because he was a millennial who really didn't know how to shop for groceries, he decided to take a closer look. After all, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And while the person that he wanted to be wasn't necessarily a perfect specimen of health who never needed medical assistance, he also never imagined that perfect version of himself sitting in a doctor's office. Travis looked through the apples, but every one he found had some sort of cut or dent or bruise on it, and although he knew he could just eat around it, he had a funny feeling that someone out there would think that he was a chump for buying damaged produce, and that simply would not do. Finally, he saw one that seemed perfect. Travis reached to grab it, but as he did, another person's arm crossed right over his and reached for a different apple. Before either one of them could register the impending conflict, they both retracted their arms while grasping the apples, which bumped into each other, knocking the apple out of the other person's hand, dropping it to the ground below. But Travis was able to maintain his grasp. He looked up from his apple to see a woman looking very unimpressed with him. She wasn't even saying a word, she was just giving him evil eyes. Travis wanted to say that it was as much her fault for failing to notice him as much as it was his fault for not noticing her. But Travis knew that he lived in a world where logic was subjective. He had to remember that his best chance for getting her to back off was to do something innocent and yet bizarre. As the world seemed to go in slow motion, Travis saw someone walk behind the angry lady with a cart full of pet supplies. There was bagged dog food, canned dog food, and what appeared to be a squeaky toy in the shape of a crustacean. And for some reason, that stuck with Travis.
Nice move, asshole.
I am the Crab Man.
What?
I am the Crab Man.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I am the Crab Man. And she just looked like she didn't know what to say. Indeed, she didn't say anything at all. She just walked away. And Travis could not believe that fucking worked. He was ecstatic. He almost couldn't wait to try it again. A few minutes later, Travis found himself in the alcohol aisle. Travis didn't usually drink because he had a fear of things that would diminish his mental functionality and alter his perception of the world. But he was thinking that maybe becoming a mild alcoholic would make him more fun and sociable, just like the person he wanted to be. Travis was staring at the fruity, girly flavored beers that didn't taste like gasoline, when a man walking past made a comment. "You don't look like you're old enough to be in this aisle." It was a recurring theme in Travis's life that random people would think he was either 15 or 50, and evidently this man was erring on the low side. But Travis knew exactly what to say. "I am the Crab Man." The man stopped walking. "Fucking what?" "I am the Crab Man." "Yeah, you can't be old enough to be in this aisle. I am the Crab Man." "Why shouldn't I tell security that you're trying to buy beer underage?" "Because I'm the Crab Man. And also, I'm not underage, and even if I was, it's not illegal for kids to just walk down this aisle. But mostly because I'm the Crab Man." Travis and the man just stared at each other for a second, and for a moment Travis was worried that he had said too much. But then the man just walked away, looking deeply perturbed. Travis felt very powerful. Travis next wound up in the DVD and Blu-ray section. He found himself staring at the children's movies and the season sets of TV cartoons. Travis quickly got lost in a melancholic nostalgia. He didn't know whether to regret all that time that he spent in front of a TV instead of going outside and learning how to make friends as a child, or to be grateful to have had such moments of innocence in the first place. Granted, the kids in his neighborhood growing up were fucking assholes, But Travis knew that plenty of people would say that they wouldn't have been so goddamn mean to him if he wasn't so goddamn weird. And he knew this because those kids had always told him as much. Even by the time that high school was ending, and most of those kids had grown up into mostly decent people, many of them told Travis that they weren't proud of how they ostracized him in their youth, but they still doubled down in saying that they'd always just gotten the read that Travis was somebody who was meant to be alone in the universe. And Travis wondered, if everybody thought that way about him, was it statistically possible that every single one of them was wrong? Even if it wasn't a verifiable scientific fact that he was fated to always be lost in society, if all of society thought he was, would the science even matter? Travis could feel a very long internal monologue coming on, beginning with the way that he felt that children's cartoons were. "Can I help you with anything?" asked an employee. "Looking for something for your kids to watch? Maybe nieces or nephews?" "I am the Crab Man." "I'm sorry?" "I am the Crab Man." "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know you were special needs." "What the? I'm not special needs. I'm just the Crab Man." "And you're not." "Just don't steal anything, weirdo. We got you on camera." And while Travis would rather not have known that security was now watching him specifically, he told himself that this would be a good time to practice out of sight, out of mind. He couldn't see the overbearing sales associate, nor could he see the loss prevention agent. All he could see was that in this crowded world, he had afforded his own unmolested space. Travis took his stuff to the checkout lines. He would rather have gone through the self-checkout lines, but they got rid of those because people in his area like to shoplift. Travis told himself that it was probably for the best that the self-checkout lanes were gone, because it meant more cashier jobs. And besides, interacting with a real person would probably do Travis a world of good. As Travis took his spot in line, he leaned over to look at the snack rack. When he did, he heard an older lady say, "Excuse me," behind him. Without looking, Travis moved purely by instinct, but then turned to see that the old lady had cut in front of him and was already putting her stuff on the conveyor. At first, Travis thought this conflict would be easy to solve. "Excuse me, ma'am?" "Ma'am," he tapped her on the shoulder. "Ma'am, I was in line here."
Hmm?
"You cut me in line."
But I'm old.
She didn't say it like a weak person asking for mercy. She said it like she thought she was entitled to something. Travis couldn't believe it, but as much as he wanted to ask her if she wasn't too old for this kind of juvenile behavior, he remembered that anger didn't work. So instead, he went with old reliable. "I am the Crab Man."
What?
"I am the Crab Man."
Are you crazy?
"I'm not crazy, I am the Crab Man, and I overrule your oldness." And Travis saw that the two people ahead of him, the cashier and the cashier from the other aisle, all had his attention.
Excuse me?
The old lady said to the cashier.
"Are you going to do something about this crazy boy bothering me?"
"Well, I did just see you cut him in line."
"I didn't cut him in line. Besides, I'm old." "That doesn't give you the right to cut in front of him,"
said another customer.
"Of course it does."
"So you admit you cut him in line then?" said the other customer in line.
"What?"
"If you didn't cut him in line, you wouldn't have said, 'Of course it does.' You would have said, 'I didn't cut him in line again.'"
"That doesn't make any sense."
"Ma'am, please get back behind him in line or I'm calling security."
What the I'm never shopping here again."
"Good. I'll feel less trashy shopping here if people like you aren't."
"You think you're better than me, you stupid bitch?"
And the customers went at it for a while with each other in a way that was neither funny nor important to the plot, nor easy to draw. But after the dust settled, Travis heard the cashier speak to him. "I can't believe that actually worked. Nice going, Crab Man." What was this feeling that Travis was feeling now? It was something that, if he ever felt it before, he hadn't felt it in a long time. Was this what validation from a stranger felt like? Or was he just having heart palpitations? Thank you, Travis said, having been so wrapped up in his own thoughts that he almost just forgot to answer. It wouldn't have been the first time. Then as the cashier checked out his items, Travis's mind was still so fascinated by this stranger's approval of him that he didn't even think to say anything more. A week later, Travis returned to the store. He found himself feeling that feeling where he was anxious about his lack of anxiety. But then a miracle happened. He remembered the cashier's compliment, and all of the meta-anxiety went away. As Travis walked in the doors, he noticed that he caught the eye of an employee who was racking up shopping carts. When the employee saw him, his face seemed to light up. He gave Travis a smile and a wave. It wasn't a regular, I get fired if I don't smile at the customer smile. Come to think of it, it wasn't even a smile you'd give a friend or somebody you'd known for years. It was almost a smile you'd give to somebody you admired. Then Travis saw that smile and couldn't help but return it. He felt selfish admitting it, but he'd always wanted for strangers to think highly of him. Travis got a similar look from the lady restocking fruit, and Travis reciprocated. He felt good about it. Then Travis got the same look from the guy doing the shelving in the soda aisle, and Travis reciprocated. He felt good about it. Then Travis got the same look from the lady pushing a shopping cart around and collecting all the misplaced items, and Travis reciprocated. He felt good about it. Then Travis got the same look from the creepy, grumpy guy who worked there since they opened the store 10 years ago, and Travis did not reciprocate because he was suddenly struck by the feeling that something wasn't right. Where exactly was all this vague adoration coming from anyway? Was it even genuine? Was it all mockery and he was just that bad at reading faces? Did they know something he didn't? About him? Was that terrible grammar? And Travis didn't want to ruin a good moment by being paranoid, but it was just a feeling he couldn't shake. He told himself that out of sight, out of mind thing again. It kind of worked. Travis got to the registers and noticed that the same guy working during the incident last week was working again. At first, Travis thought to go into a different aisle to avoid an awkward moment, but then he remembered how this cashier had given him such approval last time, and thought he might be able to recapture that magic. He was going to give this confidence thing a try. The cashier was finishing up with the only other person in his line as Travis approached. He glanced up and immediately recognized the guy he might never forget. Hey, it's the legend himself. And at first, Travis was thinking this interaction was going to go great. Legend? This guy called Travis a legend. That word was on the short list of nouns and adjectives that Travis had only wished he'd one day hear someone use to describe him. And now that he had finally heard someone call him that in earnest, Travis finally knew how it felt to feel approved of. How's it going, Crabman? Huh? Oh yeah, the Crabman thing! Travis had successfully avoided major conflict in the past week, so he hadn't had to use that one since. Travis had completely forgotten, but apparently this cashier didn't. Hey, it is the Crabman, said the neighboring cashier, who wasn't around for the previous week's incident. Wait, how do you...
Crabman?
Asked the confused customer. Yeah, this guy scared away some ornery old lady by asserting his authority as the Crabman.
How do you know that?
Travis squeaked out. Dude, that was the most eventful day of work I've had in months. There's nothing else I'd rather talk about in the break room. Plus, we were all able to watch the tape. Tape? Yeah, security thought you were stealing DVDs, so they made a point to focus all the cameras on you. They even turned on the secret microphones. They almost never do that. This wasn't happening. Was it? Hey, Todd, Carlos, Mary, the Crabman is here. Aisha, Ryan, close your lanes for a sec. Get over here. Oh, wait. Somebody call Jerry and Alexis out of the break room. They need to see this guy.
Can I have my receipt, please?
This was happening. And at first, Travis was afraid. He didn't want to be surrounded and stared at like a zoo animal. He just wanted to be left alone. Wait, what? This was fundamentally what Travis had always wanted. As time slowed down again, he let the energy of the scene wash over him. He felt this attention was coming in peace, not in hostility. All Travis had ever wanted was positive attention. And now he had it, and yet it didn't feel right. At this point, Travis was freaking out about the fact that he was freaking out. He was acutely aware of the fact that he was being a picky little asshole for not being happy with finally getting the heralding attention that he'd craved for so long. But it just wasn't sitting right with him. Was it that such attention simply wasn't as nice as Travis imagined? Was Travis a hardwired introvert who just couldn't force himself to enjoy human interaction, even when he wanted so dearly to be able to? These thoughts scared Travis, but he resolved that the issue here was that they weren't celebrating him as himself. They only knew him as the Crabman. And even if their applause was genuine, he didn't want to be known as the Crabman. Was this going to be his legacy? Was he going to live and die, and the only lasting memory anybody would have of him was once when he acted weird in a fucking tar mart? Travis told himself to chill out. He was temporarily blind and deaf to the people around him as he tried to get a grip. He tried to think about what the person he wished he could be would do in this situation. But then he thought that the person he wished he could be wouldn't have ever in a million years wound up in this situation, because the person he wished he could be wouldn't have ever in a million eventualities gone around a tar mart calling himself the Crab Man to get out of talking to people. So that was a wash. Travis tried again. He told himself that this was the first step toward becoming who he wanted to be. He shouldn't act as though he was already that person, but he should act as though he was trying to consciously make better decisions to better himself. Which was true. Travis had an idea. Just play along. Go with the goof, laugh if they laughed, smile if they smiled, and act like he was happy to have entertained them. Gel with them, don't brush against them. Maybe he couldn't pull genuine charisma out of his ass, but he might be able to make it clear to everybody that he was trying to learn charisma in real time, and maybe they would appreciate that. Travis hadn't thought much about the origin story of the person he wished he could be, but he'd always just assumed that they were naturally some kind of charming leader and confident social butterfly. For the first time, Travis thought, hey, maybe that person would be more compelling because they had to learn their ways. And Travis was proud of himself for having this realization. He really did feel like he had made a breakthrough, and why was he running? Why is he running? Travis, why are you running? Travis, how did you wind up outside the store? God damn it, Travis. God damn it, Travis. What are we going to do with you? That night, nothing new happened. Travis was awake until sunrise again, wondering if he lacked the mental capacity to change. Then he wondered if he couldn't change for biological reasons. Then he wondered if nobody was capable of willfully changing, and the only people who ever could change only did so after suffering brain damage or psychological trauma. No, some people could definitely change by their own volition. But could everybody? What if it was a possibility for everybody, except the exceptionally mentally weak like him? Maybe he should have reveled in being the Crab Man some more, since evidently that was going to be the highlight of his life. People would see him try and fail to become a halfway respectable person, and they wouldn't say good on him for trying anyway. They would just think it was sad. Well, at least then they wouldn't mess with him. Hey, there's an idea.